Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for September 8th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I am here today on my own to talk to you about everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother 24 live feeds. It was day 64 in the house, and it was the final full day before tonight's double eviction. I'm not expecting too much to happen in the morning here today on day 65, leading up to the double eviction. So I am expecting that this is really the final update that you need before we head into the double eviction, and you do need it because things are continuing to change every single day here in the Big Brother 24 house. We need to get specifically a lot over into the realm of what to expect for the double eviction. Who will target who if they win? Who will use the veto on who if they win? Who will nominate who if they win? We got to talk about it all. All right. So let's get to it. It's not going to be too long, actually. We got a kind of a quick one here, but some important updates. To get to. So let's talk about it. Now, up until today, of course, we had Michael as the HOH. We had Terrence and Alyssa on the block. Everyone's voting out Terrence. That's not going to change. But we had Brittany going around doing a lot to try to keep her and Michael safe. And for a second there, it was working pretty well, except she got caught. And then it was still working pretty well. And it's still in a position where there's now a gentleman's agreement between Monty, Turner, and Michael to not target each other until the final three. That is still going at the start here of day 64. We've got now Alyssa is willing to target Brittany because she's found out that Brittany was running around doing too much. Taylor is upset with Brittany for doing too much, but has not yet decided that she wanted to target her. We've got Monty still looking to put up Alyssa and Brittany. We've got Turner still looking to put up Taylor and Brittany. And Michael's just kind of like, can't do anything. Can't win. Just got to win a veto. That's where we started the day. So Monty's going to talk with Michael and Turner. They're talking about how Brittany's doing too much here in the beginning of the day. Turner says he would still probably have to put up Brittany and Taylor. That's still probably where he's leaning. Monty says he'd still probably do Brittany and Alyssa. And they just have to make sure nobody's going to use the veto on Brittany, right? Nobody's going to do that. And Michael agrees. Nobody's using the veto on Brittany. Now, who would actually go home between Brittany and Taylor or Brittany and Alyssa? Still up in the air. There's talk of, Turner says that if it's Brittany and Alyssa, he would hope that Brittany goes home over Alyssa. He doesn't want Alyssa to go. He'd rather Brittany leave. And again, just don't use the veto on Brittany. Because they're looking at a scenario where, say, Turner wins HOH, he puts up Brittany and Taylor, or Monty wins and puts up Brittany and Alyssa. Michael wins the veto. They're basically saying, Michael, don't use the veto on Brittany. That would be unfortunate. Then we'd have to put up Taylor and Alyssa together, and that wouldn't be ideal. And Michael agrees. Then Monty and Turner leave, and Michael says to the cameras, yeah, I'm definitely using the veto on Brittany. Of course I am. He says, Brittany leaving is not good for me in any way. So I am definitely going to use the veto on Brittany. If Brittany is on the block and I'm not on the block and I win the veto, I'm using it on Brittany. So that's one piece to our logic puzzle that we have. All right. Michael will, and I assumed this already, but Michael will use the veto on Brittany if he's off the block and she's on the block. Perfect. This is useful because I'm going to do a stream later where we really just went through every single conceivable scenario. Taylor's going to talk to Monty And they talk some more about Brittany. Monty says that he has to put Brittany up next to Alyssa. After everything that she's been doing, running around, talking about the women's alliance, talking about making final twos with all these people. Monty's like, sorry, it's just she's got to go. She's got to go up on the block at the very least, right? Like she's got to, I've decided that after everything, the whole house they'd be so weirded out if I didn't put Brittany on the block. So basically, what he's saying to Taylor is, I'm going to put up Alyssa, and instead of putting up Turner, I'm going to put up Brittany. Is that okay with you, Taylor? Taylor says, yes, I understand. And right after he gets done saying, I'm not, because he doesn't say specifically, I'm not putting up Turner, I'm putting up Brittany instead. But the plan was Turner and Alyssa. Now he's saying Brittany and Alyssa. Right after he gets done saying that, Taylor says, yeah, I don't understand why Brittany's so convinced that you and Turner are working together. It's so weird. We're totally locked in with the 4. I don't know why she doesn't trust the 4. Yeah, it's basically her fault that I'm not putting up Turner, basically. Yeah. So I mean, she's the one that caused this. Definitely don't have a final 2 with him or anything. I'm still not entirely sure where Taylor stands on Monty and Turner. I would think that she suspects them, given just how obvious they've been. Except that she really defended them to Brittany. It's possible, though, that when defending her to Brittany, she was just doing that because she didn't trust Brittany with the information. That's kind of the hopeful thinking, at least. But we'll see. She does still want Turner out, so that's good. We'll talk about it. Taylor says, look, I personally, I don't know. It would be kind of a thing for me. I don't know if I could put Brittany on the block if I won HOH. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if that's right for me. Taylor says that she'd still feel better probably with Turner and Alyssa noms. And Monty's like, okay, that's fine. She says, Monty, if you nominated Brittany and Alyssa, I do still think that we should take out Alyssa over Brittany, don't you think? I mean, Alyssa's just a much bigger threat. Why would we bother taking out Brittany? I don't think that Brittany needs to go. I just think that we can't trust her. And Monty agrees, actually. He's like, yeah, actually, that's a good point. I think that Alyssa is the bigger threat there. We should probably vote out Alyssa. This is a great conversation from Taylor. I'll get to it at the end, but well done. Monty, Taylor, because Taylor says, then if a certain someone doesn't win the veto, you hear what I'm saying? Monty says, yeah, I hear you. We'd look like fools if we didn't take that shot at Michael, is the implication. But I don't want to be the target the week after. Taylor says, you wouldn't be the target the week after. We all know what needs to happen. You know you've got me. Monty's like, well, I don't know. If I could have reassurance from everyone that I wouldn't be targeted afterward, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, of course, right? And Taylor says, for me, you're fine. Okay. Taylor says, I still think the right path forward is to go to the final 3 with Brittany. That's what she's been pitching for a long time. She says that I think that we should go to final 3 with Brittany. I think that's the best final 3 for us. It's the final 3 that Taylor wants because she feels like she'd probably be guaranteed final 2 at that point. I wouldn't be so sure personally, but that's the final 3 that Taylor is looking to get to. It's one of the better ones for her overall. I wouldn't say it's the best, but I think it's one of the better. And Monty agrees. Yes, we should go to that final 3. After this conversation, Monty's going to go to Turner, quickly tells Turner that Taylor is down to target Brittany, which is not really what she said. But I'm not convinced that Monty is intentionally lying here. I think he may just feel like the conversation was so agreeable and she was so anti-Brittany in the conversation that it seemed like she was willing to put her up, even though she wasn't willing to let her go. That makes sense. He does talk to Michael as well, says that he talked to Taylor and they agreed that Brittany should still stay over Alyssa. Like, yeah, she can go on the block, but Alyssa should go first. And Michael agrees with that line of reasoning. He also thinks that Brittany should stay and that Alyssa should go first. So that's kind of where things stand for now, right? Monty's going to put up Brittany and Alyssa. Alyssa should be voted out over Brittany. Taylor and Michael will vote out Alyssa. Turner, though, still is thinking of putting up Taylor and Brittany, at which point Monty and Alyssa will be voting out Brittany, which is what Turner would want in that situation. So Taylor has now become a lot more safe than she was, before. When we did the roundtable, Taylor was like the third or fourth most likely person to be evicted because Turner was targeting her, and Alyssa would choose Brittany over Taylor. Now that Alyssa has swapped to Taylor over Brittany, even if Taylor is up on the block, she should be fine because most situations where she is on the block should be against Brittany. So that's good. Another thing that's good, Taylor convinced Monty to take out Alyssa over Brittany as well, which is good for Brittany, bad for Alyssa. It's good for Taylor to keep Brittany in the game. Good work there by Taylor. Taylor also put the idea back into Monty's head again to target Michael. And you can tell that when she brought this up, in his head, it was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot that we were going to target Michael. And so here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to set up for you. Brittany does all this stuff. She tells Turner about the Women's Alliance. The idea of a Women's Alliance freaks Turner and Monty out. They decide that they need Michael in order to combat the Women's Alliance, right? Pretty quickly, everything gets exposed to Brittany, about Brittany. They realize the Women's Alliance is in shambles. And Taylor is now okay with targeting, with letting Brittany go on the block. Alyssa is now targeting Brittany. And even Michael is anti-Brittany. At that point, we talked about this, there's no reason for the gentleman's agreement to exist anymore. Not that there was any real reason for it to in the first place, but the reason it started has now been evaporated. But it's existing due to its own momentum at this point. The only reason that Monty and Turner haven't reconsidered the gentleman's agreement is because it exists now. The reason for it existing doesn't exist anymore, but it's just floating in open air, right? All they need to do is remember, wait a minute, what if we could target Michael? And they would look down and realize there's nothing holding them up, right? That's what happens here. Taylor suggests it again. Monty's like, but I thought there were reasons I wasn't doing that. And she says, no, think about it. Everyone would be cool with it. Who's targeting you afterward? Not me. I'm a woman. Who else do you have? Brittany? Alyssa? Come on. He looks down and he realizes, whoa, hold on. You're right. There's nothing holding me up here. Why am I here? And he starts going down those imaginary stairs. I got lost in that metaphor. But that's where we are. That's where Monty is. He's going to talk to Terrence, and they're going to have some nice, Taylor bashing sessions, as they do. Terrence's speech apparently is going to be brutal toward Taylor. So that's lovely. But they also, Monty again brings up the idea of targeting Michael. It's in his head now. He's thinking about it. Wait, why was I not targeting Michael? I thought I was targeting Michael, then I stopped targeting him. Why am I not targeting Michael anymore? It's in his head. Taylor got it there. Turner's going to talk to Taylor as well. And again, talk about a good day for Taylor, because this is a good conversation. He asks her how she's feeling about the Brittany stuff. She says she's not feeling good about Brittany. He says, well, let me just tell you that Brittany also told me about the Brochella alliance, that apparently the four of you have something locked in. And this is one of the reasons why I feel like she has to know that Monty and Turner are like locked in. She's like, did you tell Monty that already? And he's like, yeah. Oh, because Monty hasn't told her that Turner knows this. And also, this is information that came from Monty first, not Brittany. She asks, or he says that he's not going to, that he's going to put Brittany up on the block. He wants to put Brittany on the block. He just needs to find, the person he puts next to Brittany. He's trying to like imply to her, I am putting Brittany up. He's giving her forewarning, like Monty gave her forewarning. But he's gonna have to put somebody up next to Brittany. For him right now, that's Taylor, and he's kind of being like, basically, you're gonna have to go up on the block next to Brittany. I hope you don't mind that. And she's like, yeah, I understand. Brittany has to go up. That makes sense. She says, but here's the deal. If Michael doesn't win the veto, like, we're gonna do that, right? Turner's like, oh man, yeah, there's lots of layers to this situation. And they keep talking for a little bit. It's not too long of a conversation, but it definitely gets Turner's wheels turning. And he's going to go and talk to Monty afterward. But first, after this conversation, Taylor talks to the cameras, and she says, Brittany can't go. I don't need to trust her, but I need her here. Yes. Turner needs to go. Alyssa needs to go. She wants Turner out. Ideally, she says, Michael and Turner are on the block next to each other post-noms. Michael can go first if I have the opportunity, but if not Michael, I want Turner gone. That's about as good as it gets, I think, from Taylor's point of view. I like how she is thinking here. This is such an interesting week because I feel like the stock watch ratings have like completely flipped from Tuesday, and we're only on Thursday. Anyway, so that's where Taylor's head is at. I believe Taylor would still put up Turner and Alyssa, would backdoor Michael if given the opportunity. If not, would want Turner gone. Brittany and Michael probably still vote out Turner over Alyssa. I don't have confirmation that Michael would do that, but man, would it be so bad and dumb for him to not. So can't imagine he wouldn't, but I also can't imagine a lot of his gameplay this week. So Monty's going to talk, or Turner's going to talk with Monty. Monty asks Turner about his conversation with Taylor. Turner says that they talked about the Brittany thing. And Monty says, well, I'm still thinking Brittany and Alyssa on the block is the right call. And Turner says, you know what? I've been thinking too, and I'm wondering, I just had a good conversation with Taylor. Would it make more sense for me, says Turner, to nominate Alyssa next to Brittany instead of Taylor in order to build trust with Taylor? Because I already have a good relationship with Alyssa. I feel like she'll get over it. But if I don't nominate Taylor, then maybe I build trust with her. And if she's competing in the following week, maybe that's a better thing for me. And Monty is like, yeah, absolutely. Great idea. Good job. And all of a sudden, it's starting to look like maybe Taylor doesn't even touch the block at all. I thought this was a good day for Taylor. Good day for Taylor. So Monty says, there's one thing I'm wrestling with. If somehow one of us wins the veto next week? And Turner says, Michael? Yes. And I don't want you to think I'm flip-flopping. And Turner's like, no, I'm with you. And Monty says, look, if we don't put up Taylor, think about it. If we don't put up Taylor, if both of us don't put up Taylor, then we win the veto and we get out Michael. At least Taylor now feels good that we didn't put her up, right? And Turner's like, yes, exactly. And he says, then basically, as long as Brittany doesn't win, hopefully everyone is still targeting her, right? Alyssa would still target Brittany. Taylor is still down against Brittany. All we need to do is beat Brittany in the HOH at Final 5, and we won't be retaliated against. Right? I feel like it works. Turner says, I'm with you. Yeah, with peace and love. But Michael is like a wild jaguar we have on a leash. And at some point, we need to put him down. Monty's like, yeah, I guess so. Monty says, if he wins the veto, he still hasn't touched the block, and we're still true to our gentleman's agreement. And Turner agrees. So that's their plan. All the pieces are starting to come together. And if we had a couple more days, they'd probably change again. But all the pieces are starting to come together once more. Both Monty and Turner looking to nominate Brittany and Alyssa. Alyssa is likely going to be the target between the two. And then if the veto is won by anybody other than Brittany or Michael, or honestly, even Brittany at that point, if the veto is won by anybody other than Michael, Michael goes up, Michael goes home. Just like that. And you might think, wow, things have changed so much since the start of the week. They haven't. Because this is exactly where we were at the start of the week. This is the same tree. This is the same rock. We've been going in circles this whole time. We're right back where we started. We're still lost. I think that they deliberately went in this big old circle just to screw me in the stock watch. Because this would have been a much better rating system for Monty. Anyway. Here's how I see it, right? Because this is where we started. Despite them all talking about like, oh, Brittany was in such a good position and then she screwed up. Like, no, this was the position she was in. Then she changed it, and then it failed, and she went back to the position. She was in a good position because of the work she did. Then she got caught doing the work she did and went back to the position that she was in prior to the work she did. They're like, she shouldn't have done any work. Like, it's the same. It's the same thing. It hasn't changed anything. It's okay. They don't know. But in all of this, honestly, I blame Michael more than I do Brittany. I think Michael is the stock watch rating I want to change the most, because I really wanted to punish him for the decisions that he was making with his nominations and with everything that was happening. I felt compelled to give him a better rating because his position was so good if Monty and Turner were not going to turn on him. And at the time, they were not planning to. And I was just like, he's basically going to win the game right now, but I hate his decision making. But now he deserved so much worse, because I blame Michael more than I do Brittany here, Because it's Michael's annoyance with Brittany and his unwillingness to support Brittany in her attempts to save him that I think have caused all of this to crumble down. Brittany was doing a good job because she had all of the information and she was working people. She did make a bit of a slip up with Turner, but that slip up ended up helping overall. But then over time, Michael refused to tell Brittany that her plan was in shambles. He refused to tell her about the guy's gentleman's agreement. He refused to tell her that that Turner was against her. So that, like, think about it. If Michael tells Brittany, "Hey, Turner ratted you out to me," it would give Brittany the opportunity to go to Taylor and to go to Alyssa, knowing that Turner is probably going to try to rat her out to them and inoculate them. Tell them, "Hey, I had a conversation with Turner and he told me all this stuff." And then when Turner goes to them and says, "Hey, Brittany told me all this stuff," like, she's at least prepped them, right? She at least knows what's happening and knows how to do damage control. Instead, he completely just dropped her. He said, "Oh, you're going to help me and maybe get in trouble in the process? Good luck with that. I'm going to sit here and not do anything." And I think, like, he just left her out to flounder and actively pushed her and made things worse. And because of that, all the work she was doing to help him crumbled down. And now he's back where he started. Just any amount of help, I think, could have kept this rolling just long enough to get through this double eviction. I absolutely blame Michael for his passivity this week, his unwillingness to support his ally, thinking, "Oh, let me just throw the heat over on Brittany and I'll be totally cool." No, Michael, of course they're not going to target Brittany over you if they have any amount of time to think about it. You needed to support her so that she could continue to do that work for you. And I say all this knowing that Michael might win that veto in the double eviction and he might go on to win this game. And then, congrats, Michael. But man, I definitely blame Michael more than anyone else for this situation. And again, kudos to Taylor for continuing to push. How ironic that over the last 2 weeks, Monty has been pushing Taylor to target Michael, and she's been resisting. And at the end of it all, it's actually Taylor who gets Monty to target Michael after he panicked and backed out at the last minute. It kind of reminds me of the most recent season of Survivor a little bit. But then they're going to play hide and seek. It's fine if you're into that sort of thing. Alyssa's pretty good at hiding. They're going to have a late night meeting as well. Michael, Turner, Taylor, and Monty. They discuss Brittany. They talk about how Brittany should go on the block. Monty says he'll put up Brittany and Alyssa. Turner says, "I'm friends with Alyssa, but I would do the same. Hopefully Alyssa won't leave." Hopefully Alyssa won't leave. She'll leave. If Alyssa's up on the block next to Brittany, Michael and Taylor are voting out Alyssa. This is a really... I haven't talked about Turner enough. A very dumb plan for Turner. But what's new? At least now he's targeting Michael, which is a better plan than before. But in order to target Michael, he had to stop targeting Taylor, which is, good for Taylor, but certainly not good for Turner. Yeah, and then, man, this, occasionally you have these situations. You could definitely tell Michael and Taylor wanted to talk. And I assume that Taylor wanted to talk to Michael about, okay, Alyssa and Brittany on the block. We're both still voting out Alyssa, right? But Turner stayed in that HOH room for what was it, an hour and a half, 2 hours? Until Taylor finally gave up and was like, "All right, I'm going to bed." And Turner was like, "Oh yeah, me too." So that's about where we are here. You can ask me some questions here in the chat as we start to wrap this up. I will be live later today, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong. I want to talk through, now that we have all the pieces together, I'm going to do a revamped version of my double eviction percentages. And I want to talk through that on the Twitch stream today while we talk about the stock watch and all of that. Just, getting really nerdy with it. So you can join me there, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong. If you hit the follow button, you'll be notified when I go live. I will also be watching last night's The Challenge episode at some point today on Twitch as well. And then, of course, later tonight, 2-hour double eviction. Join me on Twitch as I watch it live and react in the moment. History in the making, potentially. We could watch live as Janelle's 9 competition in a single season record is broken, or we could watch live as Michael ends up tying the record overall with exactly the same win percentage. It's gonna be fun and interesting. Either way, make sure you're watching live with me. This is gonna be a good time. And then after the episode, we've got a recap. It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good time all around. I'm excited. Whew, I'm excited. Who do I want to win HOH? Honestly, most of them are exciting. Like even a Brittany HOH is exciting to a degree because she puts up probably Turner and Monty, which is, although I guess most of those end in just a Turner eviction, which is probably one of the more straightforward ones. I'm trying to think of like what's the most interesting scenario. They're all more straightforward now. It's going to be easier to predict. But I mean, I think it can't be Brittany because we need the tension of will Michael win this veto. I don't know. Honestly, I'm down for most people winning HOH at this point. I think there's a lot of interesting scenarios. Let's see. If Michael wins the veto and takes Brittany down, who leaves between Taylor and Alyssa? Alyssa should leave. Probably, right? Because Michael and Brittany will be the votes. And they should be voting out Alyssa over Taylor at this time. At the very least, like, because I think there's a chance that Michael would vote out Taylor over Alyssa. There's a small chance, just based on some of the things that he said yesterday in his meeting with Monty and Turner. He talked about how Alyssa was a jury threat, but Taylor was probably the biggest threat, competition-wise and jury-wise. So I think he thinks in that way, but I don't think Brittany thinks in that way. I don't think Brittany would be down to take out Taylor yet. Michael, even if Michael did want to go that way, he would have to both choose to go that way and in the moment convince Brittany to go that way with him. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I don't think it's likely that Taylor leaves. I think it's most likely that Alyssa leaves by a decent margin. Who leaving is better for Alyssa's game? I mean, Michael, I guess. If not Michael, probably Monty. You could really go either way with that, but I mean, Michael's better for pretty much everyone to go. Like position wise, it's not better for Michael to go for Alyssa, in the same way that position wise, it's not better for Michael to go for Taylor. But because he's so good at comps, he has to go for both of them. Why would they vote Alyssa out over Brittany? They've agreed. Taylor wants Brittany in the game because Brittany she has a final 2 with Brittany. She sees Alyssa as more of a threat. She's convinced Monty of the same. That Brittany's just not threatening. Taylor's really been pushing this final 3 with Brittany and Monty a lot. And so as of right now, Monty is still on board with that. Not to mention the fact that if there's a choice between Brittany and Alyssa, it doesn't even matter where Monty stands. It's Michael's going to vote to keep Brittany. Taylor's going to vote to keep Brittany. So it doesn't even matter anyway. How do we expect the pacing of the 2-hour episode to go? Who knows? They're not exactly great with 2-hour pacing, but there's definitely some interesting stuff to show in the first hour if they choose to. We'll see. Do I think the hide the veto comp is next week? I don't think we're going to get hide and go veto. We haven't in a while, and I'm not sure that we're going to start now. If Turner wins the veto with Monty or Turner as HOH and Alyssa, if Turner wins the veto, then Michael should be going up under almost every circumstance at this point. All right. Okay. I think that's about what we've got. Again, if you have any more questions, if you enjoy this part of the solo updates, come find me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong. It's a good time. You just Google Taran Armstrong Twitch. You can look at my Twitter at Armstrong Taran. This is basically what Twitch is. This is just me answering questions, chatting with you guys, talking through some things. So if you like this, if you like the solo updates, you'll love Twitch. Do it. Try it. Hit the follow button. Speaking of, also hit the subscribe button here on YouTube if you're on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, come over to YouTube, hit the subscribe button because we are roughly 202 subscribers away from 100,000 here on the Rob Is Podcast YouTube page. 202. That's only 202 people left before we hit 100,000, and you've missed your chance to be in that 100,000. First 100. Oh, now it's 201. I'm just saying. One more spot just got taken up. Oh, now it's 198. You're running out of time. You better get there. This might fill up by tonight. All right? There's going to be a lot of people around for the double eviction. All right. Make sure you also head over to the Twitch again as well. Not monitoring that currently. All right. So that's what we have for you today. Again, tune in on Twitch for some stock watch analysis, for some double eviction predictions. Then for the live reaction to tonight's episode, during the episode, the double eviction should be a great time. Then the recap here on Rob Is a Podcast after the double eviction should be a great time. Then tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, I will be back here to update you on everything that happens today and tonight after the double eviction on the Big Brother 24 live feeds. We will have a final 5 to talk about, probably a new HOH post double eviction with potentially new plans for nominations and targets. So there's a lot of progress we're about to make in the Big Brother 24 game. So make sure you tune in for all of it. And that is about what we have now for you. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. And I will see all of you on twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong, chatting today and tonight. See you then.